Welcome back to Crafted Nest, where garden magic meets real-life creativity. If you've ever wanted your plants to thrive with less effort and more joy, you're in the right place. In today's video, we'll explore 20 genius garden hacks that are not only clever, but totally doable with what you already have at home. From using plastic bottles as drip irrigation to turning soil bags into instant planters, we're about to show you how to grow smarter, not harder. Everything you see here is inspired by real hands, real dirt, and the beauty of making things work with what's around you. No fancy gear, no shiny filters, just honest, down-to-earth ideas you can try this weekend. If you love practical, budget-friendly gardening that actually works, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and share your favorite tip in the comments below. We post weekly, and we'd love to grow this space together with you. Now, take a deep breath and let's begin. In the still corners of shaded garden, there hangs a piece of time, twisted, bleached, and full of stories. It is fossil wood, once part living tree, then buried, pressed, and transformed by centuries. Now, it breathes again not through leaves, but through the strange, silent presence of air plants. Tillandsia doesn't ask for much. No soil, no pot, just air and a touch of mist. Nestled in the crevices of the wood, their silver-green arms spill out like soft coral, clinging with quiet resilience. Together, they form a marriage of opposites, one old, one ageless, one weathered by time, the other thriving on light. There is no straight edge here, no symmetry. That's the beauty of it. The fossil wood may be knotted, jagged, even cracked, but it's in those imperfections that life finds room. Suspended from jute rope or wire, the sculpture of nature floats freely, catching glimmers of sun as it sways. It doesn't shout for attention, but those who pause beneath it, who tilt their heads and trace its grain with their eyes, feel something settle. A quiet reminder that beauty doesn't need to be grown or built. It can simply be found and given space to exist. If you ever find a piece of old wood that feels heavy with history, don't pass it by. Hang it. Welcome the air plants. Let the past cradle the present in a garden that listens. In the dance of a turning tower, something quietly wonderful happens. You bend down, place your hand on the base and spin. And just like that, the garden turns to meet you. The lazy Susan, once buried in the back of a forgotten kitchen cabinet, finds its rhythm again, this time beneath a tower of life. Stacked PVC pipes, nothing more than plumbing scraps, become host to dozens of small roots. Each hole carved into the sides cradles a bit of soil and promise. A herb, a sprout, a tender green leaf. It's not a monument. It's not even all that pretty. But it works. It's real. You can see the smudges on the pipe where your fingers gripped it. You can hear the soft creak as it turns. It's the kind of thing you make not because it looks good in a magazine, but because it solves a problem. How to grow more when space runs short. The tower spins in the sun, and every side gets its share of light. No crowding, no reaching, just balance. And the best part? It didn't cost much. Maybe nothing at all. A base, a few pipes, a blade to cut the holes. Everything else came from your own hands, and a quiet need to make something that fits your world. Let it turn. Let it feed. Let your garden revolve around the idea that nothing is too ordinary to be reborn. Sometimes the smallest shelter makes the biggest difference. A square meter of space, a few planks, a sheet of plastic meant for something else entirely. And suddenly, the chill is held back, and spring arrives early in the corner of your garden. This mini greenhouse didn't begin with blueprints. It began with scraps, salvaged wood from an old shelf, a roll of clear plastic left over from painting the kitchen, nails bent back into shape. None of it matches, and none of it needs to. What holds it together isn't symmetry. It's the need to protect what's growing. Inside, seedlings stretch quietly, warmed by the light that diffuses through the wrinkled plastic. It's not fancy, but it's bright. The frame creaks softly in the wind, like an old chair that still works just fine. And when you unzip the edge or lift the flap, warm, damp air escapes with the smell of damp soil and greening hope. There's no need to buy more when what you need is already here. Scrap will become architecture. Plastic becomes glass. And you, builder, grower, caretaker, become the warmth that the plants lean into. So if your windowsill is full and your garden still shivers at night, build one. Let it wobble. Let it fog up. Let it hold a patch of spring, even when the rest of the world is still thawing. There's a line where garden meets path, where green softens a stone and order leans into wildness. Sedum, with its eager sprawl and succulent charm, loves to blur that edge. But you don't need plastic, wire, or fences to guide it. You need a loop, a twig, a whisper of structure made from the forest's own castaways. The brushwood loop isn't strict. It doesn't push back. It only suggests this way, not that. A bundle of thin branches, flexible but strong, curved by hand and pressed gently into soil. One by one they arc, not perfectly, but with rhythm, becoming a kind of quiet sentence written along the garden's edge. As sedum creeps outward, it pauses at these loops. Not confined, but noticed, the path stays clear. The border feels soft but defined, like a whisper that says, "Here's the line." No one loop is like the next. Some twist more, some lean. That's the language of real gardens. Nothing too precise, everything in motion. Over time, the wood grays and settles into the earth, and still holds while the sedum thrives. These are the touches that make a garden feel lived in, not manicured, but cared for. A place where hands have shaped without control, where nature is met with kindness, not resistance. So next time you prune or gather fallen sticks, don't discard them. Bend them, plant them, let them become the bones of your pathway, and watch how sedum listens. In the kitchen, the banana is gone in moments, peeled, sliced, eaten without much thought. The skin, soft and brown, heads for the bin, but the gardener pauses, because what once wrapped sweetness now holds hidden strength. Banana peels, dried under the sun or gently warmed over a stovetop, begin their second life here, in the garden. Rich in potassium, magnesium, and quiet energy, they become a gift of the roots, a whisper of fruit reborn as nourishment. There's no magic in the method, only presence. You save the peel. You dry it, maybe grind it, maybe soak it in warm water to brew a simple tea. Then you feed it back to the earth, not with ceremony, but with intention. The plants respond without drama. Their leaves darken, their stems grow firm, their blooms lift just a little higher. You may not notice right away, but the garden does. In a world quick to discard, this is your quiet rebellion. You take what's called waste and turn it into care. A ritual not of gadgets or formulas, but of slowness, rhythm, and return. So next time you hold that peel in your hand, hesitate. There's power in the forgotten. Brew it, bury it, share it with the soil. Your garden will thank you, in color, in fruit, in silence, in a garden full of life. Even the smallest visitors can cause a stir. White flies, near invisible at first, gather under leaves like whispers, weakening the plants they cling to. But here, the solution doesn't come in a shiny bottle or from a store shelf. It comes from the kitchen. A bit of cooking oil, a touch of dish soap, water from the rain barrel or sink. Mixed gently, not shaken. This homemade remedy is humble and soft-spoken, but remarkably effective. You pour into a spray bottle, not fancy, just clean. Then you step out into the garden, kneel, and lift a leaf. It's there, evidence of the invaders. Curling edges, yellow spots, the ghost of sap sucked away. But you respond not with frustration, but care. A soft mist under the leaf. Then above, you wait, you breathe, you move on. Over time, the white flies retreat. The leaves grow darker again. And you, well, you become more than a gardener. You become an alchemist of leftovers, a protector with patience. This remedy isn't loud. It doesn't smell sharp or sting. It just works like all good things in a garden do, with time, trust, and a little observation. So the next time something small begins to trouble your plants, don't panic. Step into your kitchen. Listen to what the old ways say. Mix, spray. Let the leaves drink protection from the same hands that fed them. It begins with a twist, just a simple clothes hanger bent with care and intention. No longer holding shirts in a dim closet, it now holds seeds, light, and the attention of birds. In the hush of the morning, when dew still clings to the grass and the sun begins to filter through the leaves, you notice them, the visitors. Small wings, quick shadows. They land softly, not because the feeder is expensive or elegant, but because it's their offer without expectation. The wire curves like a question mark, staked into soil or looped around a low branch. It holds a jar, a cup, a carved-out orange peel, whatever you had on hand. It doesn't need polish. Birds don't mind rust. They're here for the gift. And maybe, as you sip your tea and watch them come and go, something settles in you too, a sense of connection, a reminder that care doesn't have to cost. That feeding the wild is an act of welcome, not grandeur. Each morning, you refill the seeds, shake off the rain, straighten the wire when it tilts too far, and each morning they return. From hangar to habitat, this transformation is quiet but meaningful. An everyday object reborn with purpose, just like the garden itself, made of what we once overlooked, now full song. So bend a wire, hang something small, and let the birds remind you that even the forgotten things still hold grace. Sometimes the best ideas curve toward the sky, arched open and flexible. This isn't a cathedral, though it might feel like one to your seedlings. It's a humble dome built from PVC and patience. With a few plastic end caps and steady hands, you anchor the base. The pipe bends, finding its arc. You repeat the rhythm: cap, pipe, bend, screw. Each hoop rises in turn, not precisely measured, but consistent enough to hold something light. Mesh to shade the lettuce, plastic to warm the soil, and then to keep the cabbage moths at bay. It didn't cost much. The wood was old fencing. The pipes from a leftover plumbing job. The end caps might have been the only thing bought new, and even then, barely noticed at checkout. But now, these arches turn your garden into a protected passage. You step between them not like a builder, but like a caretaker, adjusting the cloth as seasons shift, letting in air, letting in light, shielding the young from frost, from hail, from hungry beaks. There's elegance in their curve, not because they shine, but because they serve. And like all good DIY, they invite change. Today it's plastic. Tomorrow maybe fabric. The frame stays steady while your ideas grow. If your garden needs shelter, don't wait for perfect kits or polished plans. Let a few hoops hold the sky above your plants. Let your hands shape the arch. Let simplicity do its work. Gardening, at its core, is the art of preparing. The seeds don't ask for much, just room to breathe, a path to grow, and a bit of space carved from the earth. And sometimes the sharpest tools for that job don't slice. They melt. Here, in the quiet of early spring, you heat a metal rod, an old bolt maybe, over a gentle flame. Not to rush, but to shape. You press it through landscape fabric or plastic mulch, and it parts cleanly. No frayed edges, no scissors stumbling. Just one precise circle at a time, like stepping stone for roots. The steam rises softly as the rod meets the material, and you inhale the scent of warm plastic and damp soil. It's not glamorous. It's not even elegant, but it works. The heat creates neat homes for each plant, sealing the edge, warding off weeds before they get the chance. In this task, there's rhythm. Heat, press, lift, move. You crouch low, feeling the warmth through your gloves, eyes scanning for the next mark. It's meditative, the way repetitive tasks often are. Your bed becomes a pattern, your garden a quiet design. And when the seedlings finally slip into those circles, they settle with ease. No torn plastic, no fight against fray. Just soft soil, a perfect pocket, and your steady hand behind it all. Let the heat shape the way. Let the circles guide the green. Let your patience carve the future, one gentle glow at a time. Out beneath the canopy of a quiet yard, you pause with a coil of rope in your hand. Nothing fancy, just jute twine, a shovel, and an idea that curves rather than angles. The plan is simple. Draw a circle. Let the garden revolve around intention, not symmetry. You tie one end to the tree, the other to the handle of your spade. Then, with slow precision, you walk the rope's length, dragging the tip to mark the soil. A perfect arc emerges, not measured in inches, but in movement, not drawn with tools, but with rhythm. This rope compass is humble, but it's ancient in spirit. Echoing sundials, sacred circles in the steady turn of seasons. In your own backyard, it becomes a guide not only for plants but for placement, for flow. What begins as a scratch in the dirt becomes a border for beauty. You fill the space with care. Maybe herbs, maybe pollinator blooms. Maybe it stays empty for a time, a soft promise of what could grow. Around the edges, bricks or stones follow the line, like footsteps honoring the shape. There's something grounding in that circle. It holds everything together. It centers you. Not every plan needs ruler straight lines. Sometimes the best designs begin with a rope, a tree, and a morning slow enough to notice the curve. So uncoil your compass. Let it spin. Let your garden echo the shape of the moon, the sun, the seasons. Let it be round and rooted. There's beauty in keeping things simple, in seeing the bag of soil not just as supply, but as the garden bed itself. No need to dig, to build, to plan beyond what already exists. The bag is ready. The seeds are waiting. All you need is a knife and a little time. You set it down in a patch that catches morning sun. With gentle cuts, you shape openings along the surface, just wide enough to welcome a seedling or two. Inside, the soil is fresh, still damp from the store, rich with promise. The bag becomes a cradle. It holds everything in, wards off weeds, keeps roots warm. It bends where needed, softens with rain, and slowly molds the earth beneath it. There's no edging to fix, no structure to maintain. Just soil, plants, and breath. In the soft stillness of early evening, you return with a watering can. The holes bloom with green now, lettuce curling, basil rising, char begin to unfurl. You kneel, not to weed, but to observe. The work is already done. And if one bag begins to sag or break, you lift it, spread it out, let it become mulch. Nothing wasted, everything given. This is gardening stripped bare. Just roots and dirt and sunlight, and the knowledge that sometimes less really is more. So lay your garden down where it lands. Let the bag hold the season. Let the green rise without walls. There's something deeply satisfying in a clean, perfect hole. Not too deep, not too wide. Just enough for a root to nestle in, for water to settle, for a plant to begin again. And when you've got dozens to dig, the hands tire fast. That's where the auger steps in, not to replace you, but to ease the rhythm. Paired with a drill, the soil auger becomes a humble powerhouse. It hums, not roars, spins into earth like a spoon through soft cake. You guide it, steady and slow, as it carves hole after hole, leaving behind nothing but clean promise. It's not flashy. It doesn't demand attention. But its gift is time. Time saved from bending and clawing at clay, from worn-out wrists and aching knees. You press, lift, move. The seedlings follow in your footsteps, sliding into place like they belong. The soil doesn't protest. It turns, it welcomes, it rests. This combo tool is the kind of thing passed between neighbors, borrowed again and again, spoken of quietly as a real backsaver. It becomes part of the process, like sun and rain, like breath and sweat. So when the planning list feels long and your energy short, reach for the auger. Let it whirl through the ground while you think of what's to come. Leaf, fruit, blossom, harvest. Let the drill do the digging. Let your hands do the growing. At the meeting point of structure and softness, something quiet rises. A teepee of willow, built not for shelter, but for support. It's humble, made from the thinnings of a nearby tree or a gifted bundle from a friend's pruning day. But when gathered, shaped, and tied with care, it becomes a framework for green ambition. The willow bends willingly, arching into gentle triangles. You press each end into the soil, one after the other, forming a circle that holds promise. At the top, twine binds them like an old handshake, firm, familiar, and not too perfect. The plants, beans, sweet peas, cucamelons, begin to climb, slowly wrapping themselves upward in green spirals. The structure disappears beneath their leaves over time, swallowed by growth, but never forgotten. The support remains even when hidden. This teepee isn't store-bought. It doesn't gleam in catalogs, but it sways in the wind, creaks in the breeze, and invites birds to pause on its joints. It's not decoration, it's partnership. And when the season ends, you can lay it down, compost the twine, and let the willow become part of the soil again. That, too, is a kind of return. If you have a handful of branches and a moment of peace, try this. Let your hands follow the curve of the wood. Let your plants find their path upward. And let your garden hold both wildness and shape, just like the teepee does.